The fitness industry is filled with people who take steroids, and the advice that they give is only actually really going to be helpful to other people who will take steroids. Whereas the reality is that 99% of people watching and listening to these videos aren't taking any drugs. So because they're a natural bodybuilder, they play by a completely different set of rules to what's proposed online often all the time. And what this happens is it just ends up leaving you feeling stuck, confused. You have analysis paralysis where there's way too much information online. And overall, it just leads to you doing things that are actually really detrimental to your health. So I found that when I started following this model, I was overeating, was just counting calories, and I wasn't worried about the nutritional value of the calories. And I was overtraining, and I was just stacking too much stress on top of my busy schedule. And overall, I just found that this business model and this fitness model just keeps you stuck somewhere where you're not going to make any progress. So the first point which I have a problem with is just promoting calories in, calories out. You see this all the time in the industry where people are just saying, if it fits your macros and as long as you're hitting this amount of calories and this amount of protein, then it doesn't matter where you get it from and it doesn't matter about the quality of the food. Whereas for people who are injecting steroids and things like that, they can actually get away with this because they're constantly in growth mode and they're putting testosterone and other substances into their bloodstream and their body. It just makes everything so much easier for them. They have so much more testosterone, so much more androgen receptors going through their body, and it just makes it so much easier for them to actually grow and to build muscle even with an unhealthy diet. Whereas if you take this away and you give it to like the average person who's watching these videos, eating unhealthy, eating processed food, like a lot of these highly processed protein powders, which are promoted to people, all it's really going to do is it's going to wreck your gut lining, it's going to wreck your digestion, and it's just going to lead to you having an excess amount of cortisol. Your nervous system's going to be in fight or flight the whole time, and you're not going to be in a position to build muscle. It's also going to completely tank your hormones, especially your testosterone. Your energy and your mood is going to dip, and overall other things like your sleep quality is also going to take a hit because of this as well. And the reality is that who actually really wants to even look good if you're not going to feel good and if you're doing it at the cost of your health? If you're constantly feeling tired, you have brain fog, you're inflamed, and you just have a bad digestion issues the whole time because you're not worried about the quality of the food you're eating and you just eat to kind of like fit and mass equation instead of actually worrying about what your body needs and giving it the nutritional value so it can thrive, then even if you do end up looking good, then it isn't worth it in my opinion. And overall, you're going to find that when you actually start to eat healthy, nutritious whole foods that actually suit your body, like steak, eggs, chicken, could be any like raw dairy, bananas, fruit, vegetables as well. When you start eating these whole organic foods, you're going to find that overall fat loss just becomes effortless because your metabolic output is going to increase and your body's just going to regulate and burn fat more easily. And also the nutritional value of the food is going to actually support your muscle growth a lot more. So not only are you going to feel a lot better, but you're just going to look a lot better as well when you actually start taking into account what you're eating and how this is going to affect your body. So I really don't like the model where people are just proposing to just count your calories without actually worrying about where they come from. Because if you want to count your calories, that's fine to suit your goals, whether or not you want to put on weight or lose some fat. However, it's so much more important, even if you didn't count calories, to just worry about where this food's coming from, because this is actually what's really going to transform your physique. The second point is just promoting overeating and bulking. People in the fitness industry like to talk about having to eat every 2 to 3 hours, and a lot of the times they're just doing this to promote some product which they have, which is some protein powder or just some food product, which is like a protein bar that's going to give you more protein, more calories. And the reality is that once you're past maintenance, and once you've hit maybe a small surplus of 1 to 200 calories, anything above this, all of that additional calories is just going to turn to fat. And then you're going to have to spend all that time cutting down and actually trying to lose that fat because you're not going to like how your physique looks. So there's actually genuinely zero benefit to dirty bulking and to going over the top. If you really want to build muscle, you should just be in a slight calorie surplus of 1 to 200 calories above maintenance. This is what I've been doing recently, and I found that my strength has gone up almost every time I've been in the gym. And I've also been able to slim down and stay between 10 to 12% body fat while bulking up and putting on muscle. So it's this model where you have to eat as much as possible and eat every 2 to 3 hours, 5 to 6 times a day, where all that really does is it's just going to lead to you having to snack and just eat unhealthy food and just end up getting as big as possible, where you kind of look like you're stocky and you don't actually look aesthetic anymore. And this is another huge issue because a lot of people who get into the gym just want to look good with their shirt off on the beach or just for everyday life. And this is backwards right now in the fitness industry with this advice where they're just proposing to just continue and keep eating. The next point is just overtraining. Because a lot of people train 5-6 days per week, what's going to happen is this is going to create so much cortisol in your system, and you're actually not giving your muscles, your connective tissue, or your central nervous system enough time to properly recover in between each session. So for a lot of people, this is going to lead to long-term injuries. It's going to lead to less muscle growth as well because you haven't recovered properly, and therefore your strength is going to go down in the gym. And overall, it's going to lead to a lot of people just burning out over the course of 5 to 10 years because it's just too much volume to handle and life gets in the way and everything. So for overtraining, it only actually works for people who are taking substances like steroids or anabolics because they're constantly in growth mode so they can actually recover better. But pushing this online isn't really going to help any of the audience because the audience isn't doing this, and therefore training anything more than 3 days per week is really going to be far too much volume for the average person. So I found that when I cut this back and when I just trained 3 days per week, my strength gains and my progressive overload went through the roof because I was actually giving my body and my nervous system enough time to rest and recover and to grow back stronger. So overall, this is kind of why I disagree with a lot of the advice that's pushed online now in the traditional fitness industry, which just evolves around overtraining, overeating, and just not worrying about what your body actually needs. Whereas if you start to live a healthy life and you start to go outside, get some quality levels of sunlight, start walking, and just cut back your training to 3 days per week, and then just start eating healthy organic whole foods, you're going to find that automatically, not only is your mood going to improve, your energy is going to improve, and other factors of your life like your sleep quality is going to go up massively. But you're also going to find that it's just where it becomes effortless to start building muscle and to burn fat. And I found personally that when I took this approach and when I started training to just feel better instead of looking better, I found that I automatically just started to transform my physique. And I was managed to put on a lot of muscle without putting on any fat. And it just made my physique look so much better and so much more aesthetic.